Good. Good evening, everyone. At this time, I'll call to order the business meeting for the Faribault Public Schools School Board here on March 16th, 2026. Welcome everyone here in attendance and those watching online. At this time, Director Wolf, would you determine is there a quorum present?
Mr. Chair, there is.
Thank you. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have the agenda tonight. Is there a motion for approval of the agenda with flexibility? Seeing there are only four of us, I sure hope we're all active in our making motions. Thank you, Director Boudreau. And did I hear a second?
Yes, with flexibility, which means my policy is correct.
I have everything under control.
Okay,
Yep.
very good. Second.
Second by Director Moore. Discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item number 3, recognition awards and presentations. Tonight we have the PBIS and restorative practices presentation. With us tonight we have Mr. Nate Molitor, Mr. Joel Timmer, and Ms. Allison Sweeney. So if you'd like to come forward, and we welcome you and thank you for being here. I will just have you, Mr. Molitor, go right into the presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I want to start off by thanking everybody for being here. For those online, we'll do some quick introductions. My name is Nate Molitor. I'm the Faribault High School principal.
I'm Allison Sweeney, one of the assistant principals.
Joe Timmer, assistant principal.
The first thing we're going to start off talking about is our mission at Faribault High School. In partnership with families and our community, Faribault High School provides a high-quality education that establishes critical thinking, belonging, and respect. We empower every student to find success as lifelong learners and citizens. Today, we're going to be focusing on the two words belonging and respect. Some areas of focus for us this school year. Every student that comes to our school gets a high-quality instruction. We focus on positive relationships, whether that's peer-to-peer, faculty-to-peer, or faculty to the community. We want to ensure that we have clear communication to all stakeholders involved at Faribault Public Schools. And we're really working on establishing a community and sense of belonging within our building. We really want to feel like a family. We're going to take a second to dig through some data this school year. At this point last school year, we had 384 behavioral referrals. At this same point this school year, we have 220. That is roughly a 42% reduction in behavior referrals. We're going to really get into the why of that in a minute. Another data point. At this point last year, we had 235 total numbers of days of suspension. At that same point this year, we have 37 total number of days with suspension. That is an 84% reduction from last year. Now a note on this. I want to be clear. When there is a major behavior at Faribault High School, we follow our student handbook. If the consequence deserves a suspension, we move forward as such. We are not lowering the bar for behavior, but instead, students are rising to meet our expectation. We are simply seeing more or less major behaviorals at Faribault High School.
Faribault High School is in its first year of PBIS implementation, and what that means is PBIS is a framework. Move it closer. There you go. Thanks. PBIS is a framework or an approach for helping schools create a positive climate in their building, and it is focused on the belief that all behaviors and expectations can be taught. So we are in our first year of implementation, which has included establishing a team, and then that team has decided the plan moving forward and has gone through several days of training in Mankato at the Southeast Service Cooperative. As you can see, the tiered triangle up there, all students are taught expectations. And then we have some students and a few students that need more intensive positive behavioral interventions where specific skills are taught, and then they learn how to behave positively in our school environment. This is our timeline for the next 4 years for PBIS implementation. This year, we've really worked on creating that common language and having staff using the common language, which is our SOAR expectations that are also being used at all the elementary schools and the middle school. We have been really focusing on staff positives because that's a huge part of PBIS, is acknowledging and recognizing the positive things that people do in our building, both staff and students. This year, the team decided that we were really going to focus on staff positives. Coming up in the next year, we are going to continue using the PBIS common language. We are creating expectations for every area, every common area in the high school. So we're going to teach and reteach those behavior expectations at the high school. And that will be places like the cafeteria, sporting events, hallways, bathrooms, things like that. And also continue to focus on staff positives, but also add in recognizing students for the good work that they're doing in our building. And then in our third year of implementation, so 2027-28, we will continue to implement that language and expectations, all the things that we have done in the previous 2 years. We'll continue to acknowledge staff and student positives. We're going to explore reward options, but we're also going to be focused more on what's happening in the classroom. How are staff responding when there is misbehavior? How are we setting up expectations in our classrooms? That will be the main focus of 27-28. And then by 28-29, we hope to have PBIS fully implemented. So what that looks like for next year is we will be creating those common languages. You'll see these posters throughout the building. We have our SOAR expectations: safe, on task, accountable, and respectful. And each one of those categories will have expectations underneath of it. They will be in all the common spaces, and they will be explicitly taught at the beginning of the next school year and every subsequent school year after that. So it's not a one and done. It's we're teaching it at the beginning of first semester, we're teaching it at the beginning of second semester, and we're going to do it again the next year. So this is a continuous way that we will operate at Faribault High School.
So if you recall, a couple slides back, there was a triangle that Mrs. Sweeney talked about. And at the bottom of the triangle is where we meet the needs of all of our students. Restorative practices is one of the ways that we are meeting the needs of all of our students and creating that community, that culture of belonging at Faribault High School. So our staff this year has been engaging in a year-long professional development on restorative practices to help us build a culture that is belonging and inclusive of all of our students and all of our staff members. We are working to create the conditions for learning in all of our classrooms and build accountability along with it. Because one of the pieces that we frequently don't have is the accountability or we have the potential to not have the accountability in schools. And so this process that we are going through with our staff members is helping build that accountability system. And then, of course, we also have conflict that happens. Most of the time we have small conflicts that happen in our building, and restorative practices are simply a relational approach to conflict. So here are those same triangles that we saw back on Mrs. Sweeney's slides, a couple of slides back. So you can see on the bottom, we have the parts that talk about the expectations and the excuse me, the stuff that we focus on every student in every classroom and with all of our teachers. On the left side, we see our preventative approaches, where we're building that culture. We're finding ways to make sure that we are building a community in each of our classrooms, and then we have tiered approaches above that. So some of the things that we have been working on this year is our response to behaviors. Mrs. Sweeney, Mr. Molitor, and I have we've been trying to be creative with how we approach negative behaviors in our classrooms and in our buildings. And so we've put together some different models that have helped to build accountability, getting students to take ownership of what it is they might have done in the classroom or in a common space, and something that allows them to restore so they can get back to the classroom, which is where they need to be in order for them to continue to learn. And like Mr. Molitor said, we do have some behaviors that do require a more punitive approach, a more disciplinary approach, and we take those steps as every behavior warrants.
Next, we're going to take a look at some student quotes. We want to hear from the students and their perspectives on what they're noticing in the building. So I'm just going to read some quotes here from 4 different students. The SOAR expectations are a great message for students to ensure that they are respecting themselves, others, and their school. I have noticed that this year more people are connecting with one another, and I do think the school environment has improved. My favorite thing about Faribault High School is that I really enjoy my teachers and peers. They make the experience even more fun. I also really appreciate the care for students in the building. And lastly, I have noticed that this year there are more focused students, student connections, and less drama within the building. And again, those are direct quotes from our students. And I want to finish off here by saying thank you. Thank you, school board, for the time to present to all of you today. I want to give a huge thank you to Ms. Sweeney and Mr. Timmer. It's a lot of their work that they're doing every day is the result of this positive data that we're seeing. And of course, I just want to thank all Faribault High School staff, our paraprofessionals, our teachers. It's the work that they're doing every day with students where we're seeing this positive growth. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Molitor. Feedback, board members. Director Wolf.
Ms. Boudreaux?
Go.
If you go to the 2 slides on data or data, we get a kick out of this at our work. How do you pronounce it? But do you have, and if you go up 1 slide too, you've got the behavioral referrals down 220 this year compared to 384 last year, and then the other one was, the number of days with suspensions. Really, really impressive, and yet it seems like the PBIS is in the early phases. So can you at all just give 1 or 2 things that you feel that your team or the staff or the students, that's taking place to drive these positive results? And it could be that some kids that were troublemakers are no longer in the building. That could be part of it too. But what are 1 or 2 things that are really making a big difference with regards to the data here?
Yeah, I'm going to start off by saying clear communication. I mentioned that earlier, but simply having our SOAR standards. One great thing that we have at Faribault High School, but all throughout our district, is alignment. So the kids are learning their SOAR standards through elementary, middle, and high school, and that common set of expectations, we're seeing a common understanding of what's acceptable behavior at the high school. Along with that, I'm going to always stress positive relationships. A really focus on those relationship aspects really helps drive forward positive behaviors within our building.
Director Boudreaux.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for coming and presenting to us and for the work you're doing in this area. My question is, do you feel that you have enough tools in your toolbox right now? I know that suspensions obviously are one of the tools. And do you feel like you have enough coverage for maybe some chronic behavior that, is disruptive?
Speaking for myself, absolutely, but I'll let Ms. Sweeney and Mr. Timmer respond to that as well.
Okay.
I would say yes, we do. And even going back to what Mr. Wolf said earlier about, we are in our early phases of implementation for PBIS, but we've also been doing some pretty intensive staff development for restorative practices. And I think that has changed mindsets in the building, which has changed the way that staff do respond to maybe some of those lower level behaviors that kind of nixes the behavior as it is. And again, going back to those relationships. So yes, I would say we do have plenty of tools. And as we learn more about restorative practices and in PBIS, we are continually adding to those as well.
Yeah, I would say that was that continuous improvement of figuring out what's working in certain situations and what's not working. I would also, Mr. Wolf, to go back to your point, we have fewer cell phone disruptions. It's still there. Students still use it, but I think getting a lot of the cell phones out of the classrooms is helping, and teachers are being more responsive to try to take some of the technology. We don't want to get rid of all the technology, but to go back to a little bit more old school traditional, I think that's helping a little bit too. But we are continuously improving our methods and our practices, so that way we can continue to be responsive to everything that's going on in our building. I lost my other thing. Oh, we have a workbook that we're working through too, that we can pull out. Okay, well, we had this scenario happen, and so what should we do? Yes, suspension is always a tool that we can use, but again, with the goal that we want our students in the classroom and learning, how can we build accountability and get them back into the classroom to take ownership of their behavior?
Can I add one more thing? We're also, if we are seeing recurring behaviors popping up in classrooms, we already have, and this is something Timmer's really been working on for the last 2 years, but we already have behavioral interventions where we're teaching skills to kids on how to function in the high school classroom and how to get themselves organized and how to have self-regulation. We already have that available to students with some really great people teaching those classes. So I believe that's helping too. And that is a part of PBIS and restorative. We just happen to be a little bit ahead of the game in that part. So that's great. We'll take that as it's coming, but those things are going really well.
And there's one more, I'm sorry to interrupt. We did last year, Mrs. Sweeney and I did a lot of work behind the scenes to change what we wanted that our responses in the building to look like. And so while last year we had higher referrals and higher suspension rates, last year, as we went through those situations, we were learning and working to adjust all of our approaches so that this year we could have a much better and smoother rollout to everything that we wanted to do.
That's awesome.
Director Moore.
Yes, thank you. I like those numbers. On I think it's slide 6, I looked at the triangle there. I kind of like stats. So there's obviously some students that do have some behaviors and some have worse behaviors than others. What is the percentage, kind of, approximately? I don't want to know an exact figure, but you must have some idea.
Are you asking like what's our percentage of major behaviors compared to minor behaviors?
Major, and then there's always some behavior. When you look at the triangle, that's all the students, and then there's some behaviors, not so bad, but then there's some really bad behaviors. So what is the percentage for each of those top two, approximately? I just kind of would like to.
I would have to look through the data, give a specific number. I can't give that off the top of my head, but what I can tell you just based off our numbers that we saw here, you can see that our major, that top of the triangle, we're not seeing a lot of those this year.
That
Yeah,
would be the suspension.
correct.
Thank you. And I noticed in your mission statement there, it defined community. I like definitions. So what is your definition of community?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
But I'd like to know what each of your definitions are.
I think we go back to the words of a sense of safety, a sense of belonging, a sense of togetherness, a sense of respect within our building.
So that's what you mean by community. So
And this definition should be your professional. If you're asked about your definition of community, then
Like,
you're
what
giving
is-
you're giving your definition of your professional definition of community then.
So who is community then? You want to think of who is community? Is that the outside community or the community in the school?
It's the Faribault High School community, but we should be working alongside with the outside community as one.
And you're talking about like taxpayers, voters, parents?
Director Moore, could you pull the microphone closer to where
Oh, yeah.
I'm picking you up?
Are you talking about like taxpayers, voters, or parents, or?
We should all be working towards, yes,
'Cause
every.
I think we need a clear definition of what it is if it's in our mission statement. So just a little
Yes,
heads up there.
I think every person in Faribault should be working towards a common goal of helping our students get the best education possible.
So it's everybody in the Faribault community.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Director Knudsen.
Thank you. So because I have spent some time at the high school and I see what's going on, and I don't know what it's called, but the
Director Knudsen,
ticket.
could you pull your microphone? I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. So the ticket thing that they use to sign in and out, I think that has been huge, because otherwise it used to be that just tons of kids, we were walking in and out and no accountability. So that has been really good. And then I think also that we've been seeing our SRO more in the hallways, and Bird, he's amazing. And I mean, it's surprising that I walk down the hall and there's nobody there. And that's how it should be. And it used to be that you'd see the same kids circling the hallways. And so I don't know what you're doing, but it certainly is working. So thank you.
So, Ms. Williams, I don't want to put you on the spot, but it'd be great to hear from, you're there every day, all day. So what are your perspectives?
Mr. Chair, real quick, she does have diplomatic immunity.
And Mr. Chair, I will say, I informed her last week that this question would be coming.
Okay,
So I didn't know from who, but I said this question would be coming.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I guess I agree with a lot of the things that are being said. I also think that their presence has been very important. Like when I walk through the hallways, I'm there all day, and I see at least one of them 3 times a day. So I think that's also something that they should be proud of. Their presence is there. And then with the like entering and leaving thing, I think that's also been very helpful for students. Because at least it's just another barrier to keep kids in the classroom, like one extra step. And most of the time, kids don't want to take that extra step to, leave class. But otherwise, yeah, the hallways are always clear. I have no problem using the bathroom when need be. And I think everything's has been very smooth and, yeah, going well.
Great. Obviously, we're a data-driven district, and if we look at the data, this program and you three, and I would say all your staff has made a significant difference in improvement within our schools. So thank you very much. We really appreciate your presentation and the work you're doing and will continue to do. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to agenda item number 4A, items of information. School board members. School board member here. Director Boudreau.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to share, which Jamie's going to share, so I get to share it first. Jamie and I were judges for the elementary school Young Chef contest, and it's so fun. So, is it okay if I read the names of the kids? So the students are elementary students, 4th and 5th grade. Carly Aotvos, I don't know if I'm saying it right, she made chicken lollipops out of chicken drummies. They're really good. Nolan Swedin made red bell pepper sauce ravioli, which was also delicious. Taylor Larson he named it himself, Pizza Pants Spaghetti. It's spaghetti with sausage and pepperoni in it and noodles. But it was fun, and the kids did a great job, and I think that's the best job I have, is volunteering for that. Just wanted to say, great job, kids.
Thank you. Director Moore?
Yes, a couple of things. Last week, I had the pleasure of attending the Jefferson Students Choir Concert for the individual grade levels, and the students did just a great job. You know, our district is fortunate to have such a wonderful and talented music teacher as Mrs. Brenda Gare. I really believe that music brings people together, and it certainly seems so at Jefferson. I also think that music, you know, from the brain research, that music is vital to brain development. And I think we really need to think about expanding the elementary music program throughout our district. I think that would be a really great thing. Secondly, also, I didn't see this on the agenda, so I'm going to say it now. The North Alexander Committee, we met last week. Kane Smith was there, who is the Building and Grounds Health and Safety Director, and Shane Gunderson, Athletic Director, was in attendance. And basically, I think the main purpose of this is, for the committee, is to make sure that the Faribault sporting events or anything Faribault Public School related at the North Alexander, that there's no conflicts with other events. So I think that went pretty well. Finally, this year will be the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. And I think this would be an excellent time for all of us to come together in unity to celebrate. Therefore, I am proposing that the Faribault Public School District set aside 1 or 2 days this coming school year to have some fun, celebrate, and learn the facts regarding the principles our nation was founded on. In fact, I think September 17th is a day set aside by law for the educational realm to delve into the facts about the Constitution and maybe even the Declaration of Independence. I think that would be a perfect day, although another day would be okay with me. I think the basic principle of our Constitution and Declaration of Independence is that no matter our family background, our culture, or race, is that all of us are created equal in the eyes of our Creator, God, our Creator. And so under this principle of our Constitution, no matter what racial differences we have or what cultures we come from, we do have a sense of unity in that we are all human beings with unique character. We do have our differences, and the United States is not perfect, but there's a unity when we come together as human beings, and I think that would be fun. As I said, I know this country is not perfect. I know that from the past. As an example, I'm going to say this. My grandfather was French. In fact, I think they lived on Willow Street. Way back then, it was known as Frog Town. I don't know if anybody remembers that. This was actually a derogatory term in that frogs were equated with individuals of French descent. That was degrading and humiliating, but I think my grandparents persevered, and I believe that they did because they understood what the Constitution was way back then. The point is, if we maintain our differences, but what's important is we can maintain our differences, you know, what culture we have, whatever, but what's important is who we are inside. And that's a person's greatest and most valuable characteristic. And I think the Constitution honors that, and because of that, we need to honor the Constitution and our country. So I am proposing that. Thank you.
Dr. Knudsen, do you have anything this evening?
I don't have any.
Dr. Wolf, anything? I've prepared a statement regarding some of the things that have come out here in the past couple weeks. So if everyone would bear with me here. Faribault Public Schools received a Prevention Partnerships Healthy Youth, or PPHY, grant in 2022 to support youth substance use prevention efforts in our community. This grant provided nearly $1 million over 3 years for student programming, including youth engagement activities, after-school programs, and community partnerships that promote healthy choices. The intent of this grant was to address concerns about youth substance use that had been raised within some of our communities of color. You may have seen or heard a recent news story discussing this grant. And I'd like to provide additional context about how this work began and how the funding has supported all of our students. The initial discussion about pursuing this grant began after a community member, Lul Ali, spoke during the public comment portion of the August 22nd, 2022 school board meeting. During her comments, she shared concerns she was hearing from Somali families about youth substance abuse. Following that meeting, the district held several family engagement listening sessions where all parents were invited to share their concerns and ideas with school officials. These conversations helped inform the district's decision to pursue the grant and develop prevention programming aimed at supporting students and families. This grant provided nearly $1 million in funding over the 3 years directly to Faribault Public Schools to support youth substance use prevention. Funds received through this grant went directly to programming and equipment that support youth substance use prevention. At no time did any of these grants go to Lul Ali or to any of her businesses. The school board approved this grant through a public process, and the district has continued to monitor and document how the funds were used to support students. Faribault Public Schools recently responded to a data request by providing extensive documentation outlining how the grant funds were used. The Minnesota Department of Human Services also conducted a financial reconciliation of the grant and found the district to be in compliance with grant requirements. In addition, all expenditures associated with the grant have been reviewed by district staff and through the district's annual independent third-party audit process. We remain proud of the work our staff and community partners have done through this initiative to support the well-being of all of our students. Faribault Public Schools and our school board remain committed to transparency and responsible stewardship of public resources, and we will continue focusing on providing safe and supportive opportunities for all students to learn and thrive. If anyone has any questions, please contact Superintendent Benty or myself, and we will refer you to the right people. We'll give you the answers that you're looking for, the data that you need and request. We're more than happy to do that. So, with that, we'll move on to agenda item 4B, which is Student Board Representative, Ms. Samara Williams.
Good evening. The school year has been going well, especially at this time of the year. I've noticed many students have chosen to really give full effort into their classes rather than choose to slack off as we near the end of third quarter. All winter sports have come to a close as spring sports start up. It'll be really exciting to see where athletes from track and field to baseball to tennis to softball and golf take their teams. Lots of hard work and effort will be put into these sports in the coming weeks as actual competitions near. Also crucial to note that DECA State was a huge success. Multiple students will be moving on to ICDC in Georgia. Thank you.
Very good. And I believe I just read this morning that today is the first day of fast pitch baseball, golf, and track and field, I think, or with this week or next week, we're already starting. All right, so they overlap. Thank you, Mira. 4C, information, Superintendent Benty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Boudreau stole the best one I had. So I will just add that all three recipes that the students made for us were excellent. And I took a picture of each one of them and took it home for my wife to add it to our rotation. So Jefferson Elementary second graders recently hosted an Olympic research event. Families were invited to attend as students proudly showcased projects they created while researching different Olympic sports. The morning was filled with excitement as students shared what they had learned, played bingo with their families, and celebrated their hard work by receiving gold medals for their efforts. Faribault Middle School students recently participated in a Math Mania competition in Mankato. 25 students in grades 6 through 8 competed in both individual and team math challenges. We are proud to share that one Faribault student earned third place in the individual competition. Congratulations to all the students who represented Faribault Middle School. Faribault High School Avid students recently donated meal kits to the Community Action Center in Faribault. Working in small groups, students planned and budgeted a meal for a family of 4 using just $20. They researched recipes, compared prices, and calculated ingredient costs before purchasing the items, connecting classroom learning with real-world skills and service to the community. Lincoln Elementary recently wrapped up its annual readathon with a celebration assembly. This year, the school raised an impressive $10,266 through student reading pledges and generous donations from community businesses and former Lincoln staff members. During the celebration, students who reached fundraising milestones had the opportunity to silly string, pie, or slime participating teachers. That would get me to read, I think. So, students at Roosevelt Early Learning Center welcomed a special visitor known as the Smile Fairy, who helped teach about dental hygiene. Through fun activities and demonstrations, students learned the importance of brushing their teeth and building healthy habits at an early age. It was already been said, but congratulations to the Faribault High School DECA program on a strong showing at the state conference, where students competed against more than 3,000 of the top competitors from across Minnesota. Faribault Middle School students also recently participated in a Learn to Ski Day at Welch Village. With blue skies and great snow conditions, students enjoyed a day on the slopes while learning perseverance, courage, and endurance. The experience is always a highlight and a great opportunity for students to demonstrate our soar expectations. And it's just great to see some of the students that are going out and skiing for the very first time ever. It's just a new experience for them. So, congratulations also to Faribault High School students Caitlin McGeehan and Zalea Johnson, who performed in the ACDA of Minnesota Honor Choir. More than 2,000 students audition each year, and performing in this 150-voice choir is the top honor for 9th and 10th grade singers in the state. Both students described the experience as inspiring and a great opportunity to perform with other talented musicians. Artwork by Faribault area learning students is currently on display at the Paradise Center for the Arts as part of Youth Art Month. Community members are invited to stop by and view these beautiful creations now through April 10th. And one upcoming event, expectant parents are invited to attend the upcoming baby celebration on October 18th at the Faribault Education Center. The event will take place from 9:30 to 11 and is open to expected parents and families with babies up to 12 months old. It's a wonderful opportunity for families to learn and connect with community resources. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Superintendent Benty. Move on to agenda item number 5, public comment. Ms. Kenny, we had no public comment this evening? Thank you. Agenda item number 6, the consent agenda. The consent agenda today consists of the minutes from the February 17th and March 2nd, 2026 meetings. Employment, additional assignments, other authorization of payments, transfers, and investment accounts, and retirements. Is there a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Wolf. Is there a second? Thank you, Director Boudreau. No discussion on this, so all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion passes 4-1. Agenda item number 7, District Advisory Committee. There's no report. Agenda item number 8, the Policy Committee. 8A is Policy Committee minutes. And Director Moore, you have that one.
Yes, thank you. Chairman Bellingham. Actually, I think we had a record. We got done in 15 minutes, I think. It was just, but we had a review of policies. There were 4 of them. Policy 504, student dress and appearance. Policy 505, distribution of non-school sponsored materials on school premises by students and employees. Policy 527, student use and parking of motor vehicles, patrols, inspections, and searches to the school board. Then policy 605, alternative educational services to the school board with no changes. Then we had a revision of policies, which was just maybe a sentence or two or whatever it was. It's policy 406, public and private personnel data. There was 3 policies here. Policy 503, student attendance to the school board, and policy 520, student surveys to the school board. And we did not have any new policies. So,
Very good. Thank you, Director Moore. So agenda item 8B, we have first reading of policies, and they are as follows. Revisions to policy 406, public and private personnel data. 8B2, revisions to policy 503, student attendance. Number 3, revisions to policy 520, student surveys. Number 4, review of policy 504, student dress and appearance. 5, review of policy 505, distribution of non-school sponsored materials on school premises by students and employees. Number 6 is review of policy 527, student use and parking of motor vehicles, patrols, inspections, and service searches. And then number 7, review of policy 605, alternative educational services. Are there any questions or anything on the first reading of those policies? Seeing none, then, we'll move on to 8C, which is the second reading of policies. So with this, as I've been asked to pull a couple of them, so we're just going to go right on down the line and deal with these as we go. So we'll take one at a time. So revisions 8C8 is revisions to policy 306, Administrator Code of Ethics. Is there a motion for approval of policy 306, Administrator Code of Ethics?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Wolf. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Boudreau. And discussion. Director Moore, I will turn this, you proposed an amendment, so in the discussion, go ahead if there's no further discussion here.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Bellingham. Yes, I move to amend policy 306, Administrative Code of Ethics. It's on page 1, 2E. I'd like to add the following sentence at the end of the paragraph. Federal law supersedes state and local laws, as well as school district policies.
Thank you, Director Moore. There is a motion to amend the revision to policy 306, as Director Moore stated. Is there a second to that motion? Is there a second to the motion? Is there a second to the motion? Hearing none, the motion fails due to the motion to amend fails due to lack of a second. Back to discussion of revisions to policy 306. Discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I
Director
move
Moore.
to amend policy 306, Administrative Code of Ethics, page 2, 2B4. I'd like to keep this paragraph adding the words in blue. I'd like to add a school administrator, and then this is the rest of it. I'd like to keep this in, I think MSBA is asked to take away this, or to eliminate this paragraph. So I'd like to add a school administrator, then obeys local, state, and national laws and does not knowingly join or support organizations that advocate directly or indirectly the overthrow of the government. In parentheses, I'd like to add treason.
So there's a motion to amend policy 306 as currently stated by Director Moore. Is there a second to that motion? Is there a second to the motion to amend? Is there a second to the motion to amend? Hearing none, the motion to amend fails due to lack of a second. Last call for discussion of revisions to policy 306, Administrator Code of Ethics.
Mr. Chairman,
Director Boudreau.
I did look this up online. It is a agency rule. So agency rules are usually approved by a judge. And the stricken language was not part of it. So I just want to say I don't know that we could legally amend that. I mean, it would contradict the agency that wrote it, and that needs a judicial oversight. So that was my reason not to amend it.
Anything else? Okay, hearing no further discussion, we have a motion for approval of policy revisions to policy 306, Administrator Code of Ethics. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion passes 4-1. 8C9, revisions to policy 606, textbooks and instructional materials. Is there a motion for approval of revisions to policy 606, textbooks and instructional materials? Also move that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Wolf. Any discussion? 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 Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. 8C10, revisions to policy 712, video surveillance other than on buses. Is there a motion for approval of revisions to policy 712, video surveillance other than on buses? Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Boudreau. Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Discussion. 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 Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. 8C, revisions to policy 722, public data and data subject requests other than committees. Is there a motion for approval of the revisions to policy 722, public data and data subject requests to other committees?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Boudreau. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Director Knudsen. Second. For the second. And discussion. I believe, Director Moore, you had some discussion on this, if I remember.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this is policy 722, public data and data subject requests under 3E, page 2. The last part, it says, and I quote, "Request by the minor if the responsible authority determines that withholding of the data would be in the best interest of the minor." This actually is under definitions. So this is really not, this last part really has nothing to do with the definition. Secondly, I think this is another attempt to diminish parental rights by the MSBA and, and therefore by our school districts. So I cannot vote for that. I will vote in the negative for this. Thank you.
Further discussion? Let's call for discussion. Hearing none. All in favor of the motion for revisions for approval of revisions to policy 722, public data and data subject requests in other committees, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion passes 4-1. Thank you, board members. Moving on to agenda item number 9, other committees. The Finance Committee. Director Boudreau, I will turn that over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance Committee meeting was held remotely on March 9th, 2026 at 7:30 a.m. A quorum was present. Committee action items include approval of the February 9th minutes and a request by Cassie Riopel, Director of Community Ed and Engagement, was made to adjust fees for Kids World Community Education School-Age Childcare Program for 2027. The adjustment would increase fees from 1.3% to 3.6%, depending on the care option selected to balance fiscal sustainability of the program, and that was approved. Another approval was a request by Biz Daniels, Secondary Curriculum and Instruction Coordinator, to renew Faribault Public Schools' eligibility for the Minnesota Achievement and Integration Program, which is to pursue racial and economic integration, increase student achievement, create equitable educational opportunities, and reduce academic disparities. Financial performance. February student enrollment count saw a decline, mainly at Faribault Middle School and Faribault High School, and the district is currently 17 below enrollment projections, which is 10 more below than last month. And our investment balance is stable and steadily accumulating interest. Our comparative financial report, our general fund expenditures for utilities and snow removal continues to be higher than 1 year ago. The self-insurance fund is sustainable. Our general fund is on target at 50% of expenditures. The meeting was adjourned, and the next virtual meeting is April 13th, 2026 at 7:30 a.m. Thank you.
Well done, Director Boudreau. Thank you. Agenda 9B, the Community Education Advisory Council. Director Steves is absent tonight, so we'll put that for next month. And then 9C, Facilities Committee, Director Moore and Director Wolf, and I believe from pre-meeting discussion, we'll go over to Director Moore for that report.
Yes, thank you. And Mr. Wolf, you can chime in anytime if I forget something, but I've taken extensive notes, so, okay. Okay, the meeting was on March 12th, 2026. And Kane Smith was the moderator of that meeting. McKinley, the demolition is done. The plumbing has begun. And the city, they need a building permit, and the state approved these plans, so they're just waiting on the city now. So I'm not sure what the holdup is, but LTFM proposed plan tentative for 2027. Roosevelt, no plans. Jefferson, replace the chiller and exterior tuck pointing. And if that's referring to if you have any cracks around the windows or anything external that they have to repair. And it's also including washing the brick. I was excited about that because that was an added one. If I can read my right, sidewalk maybe. He's put Lincoln, exterior tuck pointing. Let me turn the page here. High school, tuck pointing, sidewalks, McKinley, sidewalks. Then they have the circuit, report on the circuit IQ, that's electronic panels that they're testing. The ground shop is done, and every switch outlook was marked, labeled, outsourced, and I think they said, 40% of them were mismarked, so it's really good that we are going through that, because if there is an emergency or something and they have to go to those panels, they need to know what goes to what, so I was really pleased to see that. So it'll be more efficient. The security safe concern demo, the IT department was involved. This was with the security systems that they have out there. They were demoing 10 of them. And I think they're kind of tweaking all of that. And for instance, like if there's gun detection, there can be false positives because something may look like a gun when it's really not. I think they're tweaking that aspect, which is really good. They also are looking at when people come in and out, and I think that's a really good thing. One of the, I think, concerns there is when you have the camera on that, if you want to zoom in closer, the pixels get a little blurry. But I think all in all, things are progressing there. Let's see. Oh, and I was pleased to know that too. They do, if something, like, I think the question was asked, I don't know if you, Mr. Wolf, asked it or not, but if there is something like, if they see maybe possibility of a gun or somebody coming in that looks suspicious, there is something on their phones, to set up alerts on the phones that they can, Kane can look at that and respond immediately. It's going to come out of the general fund, I think, Barbie. I think that's what I understood, correct? $50,000 per year, right? It's not for police for now, but I was really put at I was put at ease when there's alerts going off on the phones, so then they can respond quite quickly. So they have student tracking, walking around, things like that. So let me check here. I think. Did I cover everything?
Yeah, you got it all.
Early in the morning, I took some good notes, right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director Moore. I'll move on to agenda item 10. 10A is gifts and donations. Resolution 26-20 are accepting gifts and donations. This month we have Resolution 2620 approving acceptance of the following gifts and donations. Reliance Bank donated $200 and hygiene products, estimated value of $250 to the Nest. Is there a motion for approval of Resolution 26-20?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Boudreau. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Knudsen.
Director Moore.
Both.
Oh, you did? Oh.
I'll give it to Director Knudsen. Discussion?
Thank you, Reliance Bank.
Very much so.
Mr. Chair, I will abstain just because that's the place of my employment.
Okay. So discussion, this is a roll call item, so Director Wolf, if you would do the roll call, please.
Director Boudreau,
Aye.
Director Knutson,
Aye.
Director Moore,
Aye.
I will abstain, and Director Bellingham.
Aye.
Passes 4-0 with one abstention.
Abstention goes to the positive, so that would be, for the records, 5-0. Thank you, Director Wolf. 10B, consider approval of the Achievement and Integration Plan fiscal year 27-29. Is there a motion for approval of the Achievement and Integration Plan fiscal year 27-29?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Wolf. Is there a second? Director Boudreau says she will second it. And as we begin discussion, Ms. Daniels unable to be here this evening, so Mr. Benty, if you have anything you'd like to add or find at this time?
This is the same plan that was presented to the Finance Committee last week. And then, as you remember, Ms. Daniels was here the week before presenting to the board as well, so.
Thank you. Discussion. Director Boudreau.
Thank you. I have a question since Superintendent Benty is sitting in for Biz. I'm sure he'll know some of these questions I have. Is this pathway, which I'm talking about now, the Grow Your Own and hiring teachers of color, is this pathway accessible to all students and all applicants?
So the Student Grow Your Own pathway is accessible to all students, yes.
Okay. And these are students pursuing careers in educational jobs?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, are all the components of the program, the Grow Your Own program, the tutoring, the mentoring, are they available to all applicants?
That is correct. They are available to all applicants, yes.
Okay, and I have a couple more. Is there any language that states a racial preference for hiring and retaining teachers?
Faribault Public Schools does not have any reference to racial preference when it comes to hiring. In fact, when our applications, when any of us get applications, you cannot see that. I don't even believe we ask it. I'm not even sure if we ask it on our applications, nor gender either. So those are not questions that are asked or known by us during any of the interview process.
And Mr. Benty, is there any language in this plan that clarifies that we hire teachers who are most qualified? I think there is, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have the plan in front of me, but it would be the area that we always hire based on merit, and we always hire who is the best, most qualified individual for the position.
That is on page 3.
Okay.
I have one more question. How will applicants know that they're eligible for the Grow Your Own plan? Because it kind of seems like we could get the impression that it's only for a certain group of people.
Yeah, we send that out district-wide to everyone that's in the district, and it's also opened up to community members as well. So it's the way that our Grow Your Own adult pathway is set up is that it's open to anyone who lives in our community.
Thank you for answering my questions. I think they're answered.
Second call for discussion. Director Moore.
Yes, I was looking over the Achievement and Integration Plan. I do like the fact that the program is utilizing Falcons for Change. I think that seems to be a great resource, thanks to our students. On the PGC student monitoring, again, thanks to our students. I think, however, we could do this without the plan. I just have a couple of things I'd like to say about the Achievement and Integration Plan that has been in place for a few years now. From what I can see, and I was hoping this would show up in this packet, but it didn't. There is no hard statistical evidence that this program is increasing student achievement, from what I can see. It may show that graduation rates are up, but with stats like 59% of grade 9 students at risk for reading and 68% at risk for math, I think we need more accountability. This only tells me with if the graduation rates are up, and that wasn't even in this packet, it only tells me that we're graduating as students who are largely deficient in both these important categories. In fact, I don't think this isn't even a goal of the Achievement Integration Plan program. I think it's a strategy, but it's not a goal. And then you look at the use of AVID. It's been in place for years. I don't think we have, from what I have seen, we have no statistical evidence to back up AVID as increasing achievement scores either. Then we also look at the college and career readiness. I believe the first goal to prepare for college and career readiness is for all students to be able to adequately read, write, and do math. Those aren't priorities either, it doesn't seem. If we really are interested in college and career readiness, we'd be focusing on increasing reading, math, and science scores. I think we're putting the cart before the horse here. I think before students even consider college or a career, shouldn't they be proficient in the basics? And we haven't achieved that yet. And that's where I'm having a problem. And I remind you too, this is all coming out of the pockets of taxpayers, whether it's local, state, or federal levels. It seems to be, at least what I'm seeing right here, no accountability to the taxpayer. We're spending money on a program that has not demonstrated increases in basic achievement scores. And thank you, Director Bedreau, for answering my questions about the teachers of color. I'm glad that we hire based on merit, because I think that's what we have to do. And I'm not saying that, and sometimes I get a little concerned that when somebody uses color or something like that, to me that's inherently racist, since the implication is that teachers of color are somehow less qualified, and I don't think they are. So that's a racist thing, but I'm glad we're hiring on merit because that takes care of that concern. So I think we need to continue to do that. And let's see. I guess my main concern is that this program doesn't increase. I haven't seen hard, fast statistics that show it increases achievement levels, and that's my problem. So thank you. And also, it's being paid by taxpayers, and so we have some accountability there to our taxpayers, who are our bosses, at least for our board anyway. So thank you.
Further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing or seeing none. We have a motion for approval of the Achievement and Integration Plan fiscal year 27-29. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Motion passes 4-1. 10C, consider approval of the Kids World rate increase fiscal year 27. Is there a motion for approval of the Kids World rate increase fiscal year 27?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Wolf, for the motion. I will second the motion. And Superintendent Benty or Ms. Riepel, if you'd like to come up and just go through this first. Before she begins, just want to inform the board that this was discussed and approved at the Finance Committee a week ago. So, thank you, Ms. Riepel. If you'd go ahead.
Yeah, so Kids World is our school-age childcare program that's fee-based. It's before school, after school, and in the summer. This is a program fee adjustment, so the word says increase. We are going to offer a little decrease as a savings to our families who send their kids for a full day and a full week through the summer. And then I've updated that in the board book.
The program operates primarily on participant fees, and that's how we receive revenue. If we don't increase these fees, we'll have to operate in a program deficit, which is not a good thing. I'd like to draw your attention to page 5 of your packet. It shows the table of the proposed rates, and specifically the column that says proposed FY27. And it shows you the amount that would be proposed from the change from 25-26 to 25-27. So from this year would be $7 an hour for the elementary in the morning and to $7.25 per hour. So that row right there, or that column, shows you the increase. So we're not trying to increase too much for our families because we understand that our families don't have a ton of extra money to pay for these fees, but we do need to operate fiscally responsibly, so we need to increase fees a little bit. Our community education contract had raises for our Kids World employees, and so we'll need to have a fee adjustment because of that.
Very good. Question, discussion, board members, questions? Discussion, questions? Last call for discussion or questions? Hearing none. Mr. presented this really well, Mr. Repel, so we don't have any questions. But we have a motion for approval of the Kids World rate increase fiscal year 27. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you. 10D, I'm sorry. Consider approval of the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget adjustments. Is there a motion for approval of the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget adjustments? Also move that. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Wolf. And discussion, and Ms. Raisler, I don't know if you want to come up or if board members have any discussions on this, questions regarding this. I'll open up for discussion right now. First request for discussion.
Mr.
Director
Chair.
Moore.
Oh, go ahead, Linda.
I have quite a bit here, so.
Well, I was just going to say, that maybe speaking generally, that, again, we have to make tough decisions. We have to be balanced financially. There's always a question, is this the right proposal? Because some people that reach out to us don't think it is, but is there ever any good proposal for cutting programs or salaries or whatever it is we have to cut? And so I guess just want to start with that. This isn't a pleasant job to have in this area. I'll go back to the chef judging. That was much more fun.
Thank you, Director Woodrow. Director Moore.
Yes, this is tough, and I don't like this part. Just regarding the cutting the teachers and paras, why is it that when we make budget cuts, teachers and paras seem to be the ones that work directly with the students are one of the first ones on the chopping block? You know, to me, eliminating paras from the kindergarten classroom, that makes no sense at all. Presently, from what I'm understanding, we have 1 para per kindergarten section. And after these cuts, we will have 9 sections with only 6 paras. So there's going to be times when kindergarten teachers will be alone in the classroom. You know, what if a 5-year-old needs help going to the bathroom? The teacher has to stop and help that child, cutting into valuable teaching time and disrupting the class. Paras assist with disruptive behaviors. Paras assist with social emotional support, and we really stress that part in our district. They assist with recess, lunch, take students to the nurse if necessary. What if a child soils himself? They assist with special needs students. Paras are really, instructional coaches and very much needed within the classroom. And here is a list of 25-plus ways that paras assist our kindergarten teachers. Eliminating these positions would force teachers to eliminate small group work, resorting to simply teaching using worksheets, thus eliminating the hands-on learning mode. I did visit a class last week, and the students were doing small group work in math, and they were at 3 different stations or centers. One was with the worksheets, with the other 2 stations doing hands-on work, the kinesthetic movement, which, by the way, boosts learning because learning is enhanced with a hands-on approach. We keep saying that early learning is so important. We've had with the the preschool and the kindergarten have their own building. We have daycare. We're pushing the pre-K enrollment. If it's so important, then why are we being asked to reduce the resources that these kindergarten teachers have in their classrooms? In fact, I think what we're doing is taking away these valuable assets within our kindergarten classroom, and that makes no sense. What we say sometimes, what we have been saying and what we're saying now are not congruent, and that's not acceptable. It's really cognitive dissonance. Also, why are we being asked to eliminate advanced placement Spanish classes? That's a teacher. Or I did not know that advanced placement language classes are needed to get into places like the Naval Academy. I did not know that. I'm for sports, but it seems a language class should take priority over a basketball theory class, and I was told that we have basketball theory. I didn't have a chance to look it up because I didn't have time. So where are our priorities? I'd like to make some suggestions. Every month, we are asked to approve numerous positions within our district, and that's the consent agenda. That's one reason I said no, on principle. Instead of cutting teachers, why don't we set a few dates for 1 or 2 retreats? We seem to like retreats, to go over many non-teaching positions. Some of these are teaching, but the many non-teaching positions, and see if we really need these positions, and to ask ourselves, are these positions increasing our achievement levels? If not, they need to go. Secondly, with major grants that come in, usually 1 or 2 administrative coordinators are hired to oversee these grants. When the money runs out, these positions are oftentimes absorbed into the budget, and I have that on tape in April, I think it was, of the past financial director. Oftentimes given different titles or responsibilities. They disappear into our budget. This is not transparency. Furthermore, I find this rather deceptive. I think keeping those who work directly with students should be our first priority, not our last. And where is the accountability here, especially to the taxpayers who are funding all of these grants, whatever, at the local, state, or federal levels? So those are my suggestions, going through some of these every month that we have to, these non-teaching positions that we approve of every month, going through them and looking at them to see, are they improving our achievement? And then also looking at the grants and all the people the coordinators that probably stayed on with those grants. So I think that's one place that we should really start, and it will require work on our part, but that's what we're here for. We are bosses of the taxpayers, not the administration. And so thank you for listening. I appreciate that, Mr. Chair.
Discussion. Director Knudsen.
Thank you. So I also have concerns about cutting our paras at our kindergarten level. And I have been in a kindergarten classroom, and I see the teacher trying to teach, and fortunately with the para in the classroom, they can deal with the behaviors, get kids on task, take them where they need to go, and a lot of the things that Ms. Moore said about, like, just taking them to the bathroom or, different things like that, or to the nurse. So, and then I think that we want to increase our math and reading scores, and so I feel like we should be putting as much as we can into our earliest grades, because that will, get them solid in their skills so that they can move ahead. And we definitely need to get it, as early on as possible. And then I guess because I'm relatively new, that we get these budget adjustments, and then now we haven't really had a chance to talk about like what other options we might have. And I know that like so at the elementary level or at the kindergarten level, you see all these little ones so busy and so much going on with one teacher and preferably at least a para for support. And then I think we have programs like the RISE program that, I walk past the classrooms at the high school, and I see, one student, one or two adults working with maybe one or two students. And then I know that we have a couple of those positions that are paid for out of the general fund, which I always thought that those were all grant funded. And then now last month, we just added another position that would include working somewhat in the RISE program. And so I would like to, I think that we're probably going to vote on it, and but I wish we had more time to work on this, and that we could make some, what I would see as better choices going forward and helping our little ones. I think that's where we're going to get our most bang for our buck.
Mr. Chairman,
Director Boudreaux.
I have a question. Mr. Benty, it's my assumption that each of these sites, the person from the site, principal or whatever it would be, help to make these adjustments. They help to select an adjustment that maybe would be least harmful, damaging, I don't know, but I know these recommendations came from a team. Could you verify that?
So some of that, yes. So some of the decisions came from our administrators. One of the pieces that was unique this year was we had what was perceived to be a larger enrollment bump in July and August for the incoming school year. So we added positions in August for that anticipated enrollment bump. That did not pan out that way. So there were some of these positions, the paras being one, and the teacher positions that you see at the elementary and at the middle school, where we said those were additions that were made for that anticipated enrollment that did not pan out. So those were ones that I said, we're going to have to go back to the way we had budgeted and planned for coming into this school year for next school year. So those ones were kind of like me saying, this is what needs to happen because we did not get what we were supposed to get. One of the things that I want to clarify is that coming into this school year, we were not one-to-one with our paras in our elementary or in our kindergarten setting. We had already taken that off the table as not being one of our strategies at Faribault Public Schools that we were going to continue. But it got added back in August due to the increase in enrollment bump. And it was actually, I had offered a kindergarten teacher to be hired, and they ended up making that into 2 paras instead of a teacher. So that's how we ended up back to the one-to-one. So we are literally, for the majority of this, shifting back to the budget that we were supposed to come into this school year with, if that makes sense.
Okay, with that clarified, then what is our ratio then, paras to kindergartners?
So we would be sitting at 1 para for every 2 kindergarten classes
Okay.
for next school year.
for next school year. And would those paras then be able to interact throughout all the classes, or are they, I mean,
So there would, I've never set up a kindergarten schedule, but there would be lots of flexibility that they would have in their scheduling to say, this is when I need this person versus when I don't need this person. So that will be up to them, along with the building principal, to figure out the scheduling piece on maximizing the efficiency of those paras.
okay, thank you.
Director Wolf.
Superintendent Benty, thank you, and I agree with every person on this board. This is not a fun meeting to ever make these cuts year after year. Regarding the paraprofessionals, and you mentioned there would be one for every 2 kindergarten classrooms, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Following up on a comment that Director Moore had made earlier that, and I apologize, I don't want to misquote what you said, but I thought you said if these paras were not in the rooms, that these rooms would have only a teacher in them. Is that correct, or are there any special education paras ever in these rooms, or are there any other adults in these rooms?
It depends. If there's a student in there that requires a special ed para, then that para would be in there. And that is not in this reduction. These are general education kindergarten paras.
Okay, so students in our kindergarten classes that need special education para, they're still in those rooms dealing with or helping assist those students?
That is correct.
Okay. And I don't know if this is a good thing to ask or not a good thing to ask, but we often compare ourselves to other schools in the Big Nine, north of us, south of us, whatever, peer type data. What do other schools in the Big Nine do regarding kindergarten paras?
We're seeing that same 1 para for 2 classrooms across Big Nine schools as well.
And that's already existing, or is that something that more are migrating to with all these budget reductions?
That I would
through
have
many
to,
other districts?
Nicole, were you the one that did the calls to those around? I got to figure out. I'd have to find out which ones. I don't want to say for sure, but I can figure out which ones.
Okay.
But everything that we heard was that that's what everyone was moving to. As once again, and I know this doesn't make it easier, everyone is having this discussion right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, what we have to worry about is our district,
Yes.
right? I mean, that's what we have to, but you can pull it up, Owatonna is cutting 3.7 million. It is what it is for them, and this is what it is for us, unfortunately. And so, can you at all talk about, and I know you kind of walked us through your, if you will, methodology on how you settled on these paraprofessionals, kind of almost unwinding what we added last year and stuff. Can you at all talk about, and maybe you can, maybe you can't, because maybe you don't want to put any rumors out there, whatever, but like, what else do you weigh the reduction of the 270,000 of the paraprofessionals? What else do you possibly weigh that against, if you will, other, maybe more general themes instead of specific positions?
So what we look at is we look at upcoming class sizes for the upcoming school year. And we have a targeted and an evaluate number for each class. So that is one of the main areas that we look at, is rolling that next year up with what our anticipated class averages are going to be. That then tells us how many teachers we need per grade level at our elementaries and at our middle school. High school is a little bit different. But when we look at that, then we're able to say, okay, this is the number of instructors that we need versus this is the number that we have. So it is very data-driven on that. It makes it sound cold. It makes it sound heartless. But that's the way we look at it. That's why we have set our targeted and our evaluated numbers for our elementary. We have the same numbers for our kindergarten as well. So that's how we decide on the elementary and kindergarten sections. Does that answer the question that you were asking?
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, but I guess I'd go back to, so we've got $270,000 of reductions here for paraprofessionals. Is there anything else that you weighed this against of, okay, if we don't cut this, what are the other 1 or 2 or 3 things that we would have to cut that would get us to this 270,000?
Yeah. And that happens a lot in working with the building administration, is to say, this is the amount that we need. that we need to reduce, because if you look at, if you were looking there and you were looking on slide 15 that's in your handout, what you'll see is the numbers that if we do nothing,
Yeah.
right? And we don't want to be there. Or if we don't do the number that we have set aside this year, it compounds and rolls forward.
Yeah.
So many times what we're looking at is we do get sometimes, well, I can reduce this for a year. That's the understanding of a one-time cost versus a recurring cost. And that's why when we look at larger budget adjustments and reductions like this, we have to look at personnel because they make up 80% of our budget and they're recurring. They go on year after year.
Yeah, please know, I'm not second guessing any of these. These are difficult, and quite frankly, my perception from what I'm hearing from Director Moore and Director Knudsen is my perception only. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth. I'm not hearing them say that we shouldn't make the total reductions. I'm hearing them question, are these the right reductions based on the impact to students?
Thank you.
And so I think we all recognize that we have to make reductions. It's a matter of what are the right ones. And I would ask you and Ms. Raisler and all of your cabinet, just going forward as these reductions happen, unfortunately, it seems year after year. And yes, unless we have a big spike in our enrollment, or unless the state does something, right? I mean, those are really our two biggest drivers, if you will, of revenue. Is there any way that to educate the board and bring the board along further in these discussions without having us get into the weeds? Our job is to be at that 10 or 30,000 foot view, bless somebody, right? To be up there. And so I'm not questioning. I appreciate all the work that you and your admin and the cabinet and the building leaderships have done. This just flat out stinks. There's nothing fun about this. It impacts people's lives. It impacts students and all that type of stuff. And so I just challenge you and your team in future years. Is there any way better that you can educate us and bring us along? That's all. I'll shut up.
Mr. Chairman, I have another
Director Boudreaux, go
question.
ahead.
So is there any way, first of all, are there restrictions if we have, let's say we have one para for 2 classes? So classes are they morning and afternoon for kindergarten?
Kindergarten is full day.
Okay, so I'm saying probably one is in the morning, one is in the afternoon in the other class, or whatever, I don't know, or they switch off. How do we apply these, reductions? Would the paras move from one classroom to another?
So that will all be done through the seniority process with the paras
Okay.
on which individual is reduced.
Sure.
If you're asking about the scheduling piece, that will be handled through the kindergarten teachers along with the building principal. Because it also has to mix in with, when they go to specials, when they go to art, when they go to FIED, all
Right.
of those pieces as well.
Exactly, and is there any restriction on having volunteers come into the classroom? I mean, I understand they need to be vetted, but
There is not restrictions for that, besides the fact that they need to pass a background check.
yeah. Maybe we need to rally our volunteer parents. Some of them may be available, many aren't. But I remember doing that when one of my kids was in first grade. I really enjoyed it. But I think we're kind of in desperate times. Shouldn't be desperate, though, to have volunteers help us.
Director Moore.
Yes, and coming off of what Director Boudreaux said, I think we could look into volunteers too. I know I did that when my kids were in school. They pulled the state or whatever pulled the aides, and I know the second grade teacher, Mrs. Cooper, had reached out to parents, and I went in for a while. So, but I'd like some clarification on the special ed paras. How many do we have?
I don't know at this point how many special ed pairs we have. You mean across the entire district?
Oh, yeah, with I meant kindergarten, for the kindergarten.
That I don't know, because it's different each year based on individual student need.
Okay, oh, yeah, okay. So Now, my other question is, when there's a para for the one student need, when that para goes into that classroom, does that para assist with the other students or just only assist with that one student?
So legally, that para is there for that one
That one
individual
student.
student. And that is written into their IEP that way.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
But my understanding as a former special ed teacher is that they can assist other students, but they have to give their priority, is my
Legally,
understanding.
that para is there for that one individual
Only?
student written in that IEP.
Only?
Legally.
Okay, because
Legally.
we used to, have them help other students. And
So to add to this, some of the comments here, I'll go back to this. Role of the board is governance. And the role from Mr. Benty, cabinet, administration is management. The idea of the board going over description by description of, does this position fit, is this, it's management. That's what our people do. That's why we have a superintendent, that's why we have a human resources, that's why we have a finance director, that's why we have cabinet, and why we have building level administrators to analyze those programs and come with recommendations to the board as governance. If the board wants to do that, then we can save a pile of money by not having a finance director or human resources or anything like that. But none of us at this table are trained to do what they do. And the laws that they know, that is the profession of education and profession of human resources and finance. That's why we hire them. Retreats. Suggested the board should have retreats that talk about some of this. Depends upon if the retreat appeals to you or not. But some board members attend one and don't show up for the rest. Or their session, it's a waste of time, I've been told many times. So we work at work sessions. We do this. Again, we're governance. We basically have 5 things we do. Approving the budget, one of them is one of them. Hiring and evaluating the superintendent is the second one. And you've heard me repeat all these numerous times of exactly what a board member does. We're not here to run the district or run a building or run a department. As Mr. Benty has said, the buck stops with him. He answers to all of that. So this recommendation for budget reductions came to us. And as chair, I'd probably let the discussion go off actually the motion to approve the budget adjustments by talking about different programs if they're viable, and who's working in this and who's working that. Again, this is a building level or cabinet level or administrative level decision that they make. Those discussions need to happen, members of this board with Mr. Benty in the one-to-one, or at any time a conversation needs to happen with him. Again, as all of you know, this is 12th year on the board, 8th year on the board, many of you more than that. Every single year we've reduced. 3 million, 2.5, 2.1, 1.5. Last year was, oh my gosh, easy with 235,000 or whatever. And now we're $1 million. But we have to adjust that, just like you adjust your personal budgets at home by what's coming in and what's going out. Ultimately, we're responsible. I've talked with kindergarten teachers. Probably one of the few on this board that's been there, done that with paras for 36 years in a classroom, yes, even in 6th grade. I know the value of them. I know the effort and the quality of education they provide to help our teachers and students. And as Director Wolf says, every year this gets more and more difficult because we keep cutting. We said, well, we're cutting the fat. We're not at the fat, we're at the bone, and we're even into the bone. It gets difficult. But that's why we're elected. That's why people rely on our expertise to say, get the information, analyze it, coming from administration, that's what we need to do and we shall do. So I guess I just needed to say that, once again, to refocus. This board is governance, and we will do our governance and let our administration do what they need to do what they do well for all the students and staff in our community and our district. Further discussion? Last call. Hearing none. We have a motion for approval of the fiscal year 26-27 budget adjustments. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Director Wolf, will you do a roll call, please?
I will, just give me
Sorry.
1 second. I'm just going to, Ms. Kenny, I'm just going to label this budget adjustments. Director Boudreau,
Aye.
Director Knutson,
Nay.
Director Moore,
No.
Director, I will say aye, yes, and Director Bellingham.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, this passes 3-2.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Again, the motion passes 3-2. Agenda item 10E. Thank you, Ms. Raisler. Thank you. 10E, consider approval of resolution number 26-21, probationary teachers to be non-renewed for the 26-27 school year. Is there a motion for approval of resolution 26-21, probationary teachers to be non-renewed for the 26-27 school year?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Moore. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Boudreau. Discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'll just jump in because I know Mr. Wolf always asks this question, why are there so many on here? The vast majority of these are licensure. They don't have the correct licensure, so we have to let them go and post the position by state law.
Thank you. I was just about to bring that up.
Mr. Chair and Superintendent Benty, what that also means is that some of these people could be rehired,
Absolutely,
correct?
yes.
And so that doesn't mean that we're reducing all of these positions carte blanche.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Discussion? 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 Hearing none. This is a resolution, so Director Wolf, this will be a roll call.
Director Boudreau,
Aye.
Director Knutson,
Aye.
Director Moore,
Aye.
myself, Chad Wolf, aye. Director Bellingham.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, this passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. 10F, consider approval of resolution number 26-22, proposing to place a non-probationary administrator on ULA status for the 26-27 school year. Is there a motion for approval of resolution number 26-22, proposing to place a non-probationary administrator on ULA status?
So moved.
Sorry, I didn't catch that one. Thank you, Director Boudreau. Is there a second? I'll second that. And discussion. 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 Hearing none. Director Wolf, roll call, please.
Director Boudreau,
Aye.
Director Knutson,
Aye.
Director Moore,
Aye.
myself, Chad Wolf, aye. Director Bellingham.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, this passes 5-0.
Thank you, Director Wolf. Agenda item number 11, dates to remember. Monday, April 6th, 5:30 PM work session. Tuesday, April 7th, 3:45 PM Policy Committee. Thursday, April 9th, 7:45 AM Facilities Committee. Monday, April 13th is the 7:30 AM Finance Committee. And Monday, April 20th, 5:30 PM, our regular business meeting. Agenda item number 12 is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn? Also move.
Second.
And a second by Director Knutson. Discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.